I can see less of surgeons' muscles being used in surgery and more of their brains.
Our guests today are two engineers on a mission to support and empower heart surgeons and make recovery a lot easier for patients. Dr. Amir Hooshiar is the director of the Surgical Robotics Centre at McGill, alongside PhD student Amir Sayadi. They've developed a mixed reality platform called Holo-Ray, which allows surgeons to create a 3D model of a patient's heart so they can better navigate complex surgeries and make them less invasive, reducing recovery time and hospitalizations. Hi everyone, this is Annie DeMelt and you are watching the Code Life interviews brought to you by the Montreal General Hospital Foundation. Thank you both for being here.
Glad to be here.
So I want to start with you, Dr. Hooshiar. How much of a departure is this from what we currently know, the cardiac surgeries that are being performed right now, especially open heart surgeries?
Sure, yeah. This is a great question. So right now, majority of cardiovascular surgeries are done through open heart approach. So they cut open the chest and there is blood, there's bleeding, and surgeons try to cognitively identify different structural points in the heart and do the repair or replacement of those parts. But the new technologies, which is under minimally invasive approach, doesn't need cut opening the chest, and we can go inside through the vessels and through very small incisions. And but the technology for instruments that allows us to do the repair and replacement is being developed right now. This is done, this minimally invasive approach is done under live fluoroscopy, which is continuous X-ray, and it exposes patients and surgeon and aides in the operation room to a lot of X-ray dosage. So what we are proposing now, and we are developing technology for, is that instead of using 2D blurry, noisy X-rays, black and white, we can project 3D hearts and 3D anatomical models on the patient's body while the skin is not open. There is no open incision. So do you remember the Pokemon Go
yes.
game?
Sadly.
There was a fever about that,
Yeah.
and there were so many adverse events. But Pokemon Go was the first instance of augmented reality in action in gaming industry, as far as I remember. So there were these objects, these characters that you could, and different rewards you could collect in the different streets and places. So those objects were actually interacting with real physical world. So the software was projecting those as holograms onto real physical world. Now let's translate that into a surgical scene, into operation room. So we have the object, heart, patient's heart or vessels, and we have a pretty good plan drawn on it preoperatively. And during the surgery, we are projecting that onto the patient's body, so the surgeon actually can see what they're doing while they're not opening the patient's chest.
What do you envision for what surgery will look like, given what you've just said, a mix of augmented reality and
Right.
and artificial intelligence? What will it look like?
Going forward, we are at an era that we have plenty of data. And by the second, we are acquiring tons of data from medical devices, from different gadgets that even the smartwatches we wear. There are companies gathering all those information. What is missing now for that leap you were talking about is a fusion between these sources of information. And that's basically where AI comes into play for a future that is data driven, and we need to have information.
Mm-hmm.
Data is raw. We need to somehow cook it and make recipes for other people's how to cook that, and you make use of the data. In 20 years from now, or even in 10 years, I would imagine the number of procedures go high because of the aging population, because of the changes in this living style, and with the momentum in AI and robotics, especially that I work in this field, I can see less of surgeons' muscles being used in surgery and more of their brains being used in surgery. So that's the way I see medical technology is going in the area of surgery.
The use of augmented reality already exists in orthopedics, correct? That's already FDA approved. What Holo-Ray is proposing takes it a step further.
Right.
What is unique to what your product is and what's being developed right here at McGill?
So our approach is to use augmented reality as a component in a complete system. So, for example, at Holo-Ray, what we are proposing is a complete system that starts with medical imaging and an automatic AI-based 3D reconstruction of preoperative CT scan and MRIs. And we are taking that into a global level. So we no more need CDs and DVDs of patients' medical images. We are developing a platform, an online platform that any surgeon anywhere in the world, they can upload their anonymized, HIPAA-compliant patients' medical images. And it comes into our server. It does the magic of creating that hologram, and it presents the surgeon in a split second with a platform that they can do preoperative planning on the holographic in the holographic space, and they can save it and use it when they're doing the actual surgery. Mm-hmm. So augmented reality is one component. The other component is using AI for decision making. What is missing now in it's under development with different researchers, but it's still missing is we are using AI. We are working on using AI to provide differentiate diagnosis. So with like a database of different medical images from all around the world, different ethnicities and lifestyles and patient parameters, we are developing a brain, AI brain, that can recommend a preoperative plan and differentiative diagnosis to surgeons. So that's what we are. That's the leap. That's what is not in FDA-approved technologies. That's what is not available now as the state of the art. Mm-hmm. And then one more important thing that is unique to our system is that we can archive and use distributed training. Instead of bringing in fellows from all around the world to McGill to get experience and get trained, we can actually distribute training to them with high realism. Mm-hmm. And that's another leap forward. Now, our first target is on training, but the second target is doing collaborative surgery. So you can be a surgeon sitting here looking at what's the surgical scene, and another experienced surgeon, maybe your mentor, somewhere else, and they can actually see the scene in 3D and do marking for you, annotation, and guiding you.
Mm-hmm. How is this being received by surgeons? What do surgeons ask you when they hear about this idea of a mixed reality platform and your vision for surgery?
It was very well received because this having a better way of 3D visualization of patient's anatomy on the operation table has been a long unmet clinical need. And unless you cut open and expose a patient's tissues, you cannot have that vision. Even if you do so, you will have blood all over the place and it obscures your vision. So having this augmented reality, mixed reality, different flavors of visualization that allows you to translate your preoperative plan onto the operation table, that's a game changer. And I have now, apart from cardiac surgeons, I have now orthopedic surgeons, surgical oncologists working with me. I have collaborators from other universities as well working with me to integrate different technologies they are developing and adapt this technology to different clinical needs. So the core intellectual property and proprietary methods are there. We are now applying and morphing that technology into different packages that can answer different clinical needs.
And coming out of McGill, which is pretty...
Coming out of McGill, exactly.
So you've both been recipients of the CodeLife Research Awards. You are this year, Mr. Sayadi. You've been Dr. Hooshiar. What does that mean?
So I would say the CodeLife Research Awards have supported me and my team in two major ways. The first way was that it enabled me as an individual to continue my research as a postdoctoral fellow and as the director of Surgical Robotics Centre, to continue my research career and have the opportunity to meeting these bright minds of now and future, my students and my colleagues. That is the second way, major way that it has supported me as an individual. So basically, the research award allowed me to be a part of the clinical innovation platform and be a part of the McGill Department of Surgery, be a part of the McGill University Health Center, where the actual clinical practice is performed and where the actual clinical needs are. And it allowed me to, enabled me to talk with surgeons and see their needs, go to the operation room. My research center is now one floor up the operation room at the Montreal General Hospital.
Be in that ecosystem.
Yeah, being a part of that ecosystem and being exposed to opportunities, being research opportunities, collaboration opportunities with the clinicians and also with engineers down at the McGill campus. So it's really integral. It's really an integral ecosystem between engineering down at the campus, McGill, and with the surgeons and the surgeon scientists. And being at that cross section is something nobody want to miss.
It's important to be working with Dr. Renzo Ceccheri, who is also a co-founder of Holo-Ray and who's a renowned cardiologist. It's important for you to be side by side with this person to develop your product as well.
Yeah, these needs comes from the surgeons. Dr. Ceccheri defined the clinical need for us, and me as engineer or working with Dr. Hooshiar as engineer, we are changing that clinical need to engineering need and find a solution for that. Without that clinical need, that the experts that are surgeons, physicians are working at that problem, so it's not possible for us to find anything for doing in this industry, of course. So it is the main, the collaboration is the main thing here.
What's the importance for you having a mentor like this that can bring you out from, flight simulation engineer and translate that expertise into developing biomedical devices and bring you into that medical technology world?
I think that was impossible if I couldn't talk to someone that has experience in this industry. My father is suffering from arrhythmia. One of my family members just has a structural heart disease, and I wanted to help doing something. And because I was an engineer, and one of the dreams of all of the engineers is to help, to make something that can help others. Having these kind of mentors that, for example, in CLIP, we can find in Clinical Innovation Platform, we can find these engineers and surgeons that have this possibility to help others to do their research and find a clear view for the future. It helps a lot.
The flight analogy, that might be a good way to finish off.
First time when the autopilot came in for commercial flights, it was well received, but it was trusted only for the cruise part. So in a flight, you have the takeoff and then the cruise and then landing, right? And it was, at first, it was just trusted for and regulated for the cruise part, which is the easy part. Most of the risks are during takeoff and landing. And the same is happening in medical technology, in surgical technology specifically. We are now talking about autonomous robots. And autonomous robots, they don't have eyes and they don't have brain. So we have to make eyes for them, augmented reality, virtual reality, and make brains for them, artificial intelligence. So right now we are at this stage, we are trusting somehow, starting to trust robots and for autonomous surgery in the crews, holding a leg or doing it's a rather simpler part of the job. But my group is working with surgeon scientists to push it forward and, as I said, use more of patients, surgeons' brain rather than their muscles.
Thank you very much to both of you, Dr. Hooshiar, Mr. Sayadi. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
And thank you for watching this Code Life interview presented by the Montreal General Hospital Foundation. To learn more about these initiatives that are made possible by the generosity of donors, you can visit our website, codelife.ca, and of course follow us on social media. So until next time, thank you very much and see you then.